Hello, everyone. I am Sergey Badalyan, Assistant Managing Editor at OncoDaily Medical Journal, and today I'm joined by Chun Kim, Executive Director of the Stephenson Global Pancreatic Cancer Research Institute. Jennifer, thank you so much for being with me. Today, we are going to talk a bit about the brain drain in oncology, because we are at a moment where cancer research sits at a crossroads. Headlines may suggest stability, but conversations inside laboratories and academic centers tell a more uncertain story, one shaped by funding volatility, translational bottlenecks, and growing concerns about retaining the next generation of scientists. At the same time, new models of financing researches are emerging, ones that are faster, more flexible, and often more willing to take risks. Today, we will just discuss whether oncology is entering a structural shift in how innovation is funded and what that means for the future of breakthroughs cancer research. So, Jennifer, thank you again for joining me. And I would like to start with the fiscal year 2026, as like the spending bill of fiscal year 2026 included a $128 million boost to the National Cancer Institute. On paper, that sounds significant, but why does it feel insufficient to researchers working in oncology labs right now?
Well, first of all, Sergey, thank you so much for having me. And I have to say that traditionally and historically, pancreatic cancer, which is one of the deadliest cancers, has historically been the least funded. And this has real consequences, and it's not enough. You know, when you look at other cancers being funded, and especially in pancreatic cancer, there is very little historically, maybe 6-7% focused on early detection and prevention for pancreatic cancer. And the 5-year survival rate has gone up very slowly, and it's only at 13%. Okay, so there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And, you know, the Stephenson Global Pancreatic Cancer Research Institute launched at a time when funding was cut, for pancreatic cancer researchers. And the timing of our launch, which was in 2025, really helped inspire the community. Our mission is to end pancreatic cancer by funding the most innovative research, accelerating scientific discoveries, and igniting collaboration to advance the field, right? Advance prevention, advance early detection and breakthrough treatments. And that funding was given through a loss, a tremendous grief. Emmett and Tessa Stephenson lost their wife and mother, Tony Stephenson, to pancreatic cancer within 4 months. And they were just shocked at the lack of early detection, treatment that was available, and the funding. So they sacrificially gave $150 million to make a dent and to change the trajectory of this disease. And it's still not enough. Clinical trials, they cost $30-40 million, and even more. And so if you think about the funding that we give and the effort that we're doing, like we have 3 main pillars, okay? The first one is to fund $1 million for the most groundbreaking researcher in the field of pancreatic cancer that has made a difference, right? And it's very, very hard to find that, right? I say if Dr. Whipple was still alive, he would be the one getting this $1 million for the Whipple surgery, right? Because early detection is key to survival. So there's been a lot of work done in the field, 30, 40, 50 years already. And the spotlight went to Dr. Frank McCormick. He was the one, 40 years, focusing on RAS, tackling RAS, oncogene, and really focusing on KRAS. And he found a way with his, other scientists that he put together a team. He led the RAS initiative at the National Cancer Institute. He brought in Dr. Kevon Shokat, who's on our scientific advisory board, and they have now found a way to tackle KRAS. Okay. And KRAS is found in 95% of all pancreatic cancer tumors. So with this, just really helped ignite and fuel the research in KRAS. We're at over 100 clinical trials now. The timing of this, when we gave the prize of $1 million to Dr. Frank McCormick at the American Association for Cancer Research special conference on pancreatic cancer meeting last September, it was just this inspiring breakthrough moment. There were physicians who've been in the field for 50 years that said, there was no hope, very little hope when they first started in the field. And now this marks the beginning of the end of pancreatic cancer. That is what this funding has done, right? And then spotlighting some of the most innovative research in the field by asking researchers globally to submit their most innovative idea and how much they need to succeed. And that is our scholar grant, the Stephenson Scholar Grant application process. And we basically, it's like kind of set up like a Shark Tank model. What's your most innovative idea and how much you need to succeed? And we got 188 applications within a very short window of time because we had a very short period to launch this past year. And they ranged from a few $100,000 to $30 million. So that was very interesting to see. And through our amazing and incredible luminaries that are part of our scientific advisory board, we were able to identify the top 6 research that's really going to be impactful in changing this trajectory for pancreatic cancer. And that really honestly came to a total of $5.3 million. And I can share that press release with you, Sergey. I think that would be very helpful. And it covered, it was very interesting. Half of them were young investigators, half of them were senior investigators, right? And then you have, AI projects, early detection, translational research, innovative therapies that are happening. And it was just covered the broad spectrum of what's needed in clinical research. And, Dr. Frank McCormick is now focusing on a prevention pill for targeting KRAS. So all of it's like very, very exciting. And, there've been organizations in the field that have given, along with NIH funding, that has been really tremendous in funding young investigators. Now, Dr. Frank McCormick said that most of the innovative research comes from the 20-year-olds, the young investigators, okay? They're the ones with courage to think big and have the most innovative ideas. And those are the ones that we want to take a risk, okay, and fund. Traditionally, NIH funds, data-driven, evidence-driven research, right? And that is very hard to do without funding. And that is the challenge here, right? To fund the most innovative research without the data to prove it. So we're willing to take that kind of risk. And it's been a tremendous opportunity for us, an opportunity to inspire and encourage philanthropists across the globe to give more to this effort, because the NIH is not dependable. They cannot do it alone. We all have to come together for this effort.
You do an amazing job and fantastic foundation. You run a fantastic foundation. I'm super impressed. And I totally agree. Yeah, sure. And I totally agree with you that especially young scientists or oncologists are more driven to take some risks, have the courage to find some breakthroughs in the innovations. And it is a fantastic job and an opportunity for them to receive some grants and some opportunities to realize their potential. And since you lead a $150 million institute, why do you describe venture philanthropy as fearless capital? And why is it now essential rather than optional?
Well, I covered that a little bit, but, it really is, it has less bureaucracy. There's less bureaucracy, there's more alignment in collaboration, and we have the experts in the field who really know what is needed to move this needle forward. And a lot of it covers prevention, early detection, right? And innovative therapies. And that can come from the experts in the field who've been in the field for over 50 years, 40, 50 years, who initially, and thank God they stuck through it, because they were told to leave the field. We have a scientific advisory board member, Dr. David Tuvison. He wanted to be a surgeon, and his first patient who passed away was from pancreatic cancer. And I can have him share a quote, and I can write it for you. But he said he was disincentivized to go into the field. The people said there's no hope. This is going to be depressing. You shouldn't go into it. And actually, someone like Dr. David Tuvison and the ones who stuck through it are the ones that loved the challenge. They said, actually, we want to bring this on. He was young. He was young then. And he eventually went into actually basic science and developed the first organoid model for pancreatic cancer research, because that he knew that's where we needed to go, the translational research piece, bringing it from bench to bedside. So, that is what we're looking for. The older, like the mentors, the experienced researchers that are ready to tell the younger investigators, don't lose hope. Okay. There is challenge here and there is hope here. There is some funding coming from the Stephensons, the Lustgardens, the PanCans, the different organizations that are coming together with the philanthropic funding that is needed, right? And by the way, let's not forget the industry partners, okay? They are the ones who are really instrumental in launching the clinical trials, right? And we need to partner together to move this forward. We cannot do this alone in different silos. And that is why philanthropy is also so important, right? There's such a need for this funding to encourage these young investigators to stay in the field. Not to go into industry, not to go into other academic, disciplines and focus areas, but to really focus in on the most challenging and coming together to do it. We want to really bring the brightest, most innovative research, even researchers who have been successful in other disease groups, like breast cancer, right? The 5-year survival rates in the 90s, it's caught early. It's done so well, the early detection risk assessment piece of breast cancer, but pancreatic cancer lacks that. So, we want to have other focused to pancreatic cancer and really spotlight the importance of this work here. And that's what the prize is doing. So I don't know if you know this, and I shared this about Dr. Frank McCormick, but the $1 million prize, it's like the Nobel Prize, but it's not, right? But it really is $1 million given to someone so that they can really be inspired to run after that prize. Really, that's like so amazing what Emmett and Tessa Stephenson really thought about bringing to this field, bringing a prize, right? Bringing something, a goal. We're all human. We need something tangible to go after, right? And the desire to really help the patients and the families is so important. But to have something, the $1 million, and I'm going to tell you, Dr. Frank McCormick gave it right back to research. He could have kept it for himself, but he didn't, because he knows how important it is to push this field forward. So we're really grateful for that. And I hope that helps answer your question.
Yeah, it completely answers my questions. And again, I'm so thankful for such a detailed and also a part of an emotional answer. But despite your efforts, especially, of course, mostly your efforts are in the field of pancreatic cancer. But overall, if we are looking on the Met overall, we are still seeing data showing that 70% of postdoctoral researchers report reduced access to mentorship and funding. And I completely understand that you try to fill that gap, especially in the field of pancreatic cancer. But like from your perspective, how serious do you think is the brain drain in pancreatic cancer field in oncology, but like covering the pancreatic cancer?
This is a very urgent time. It's a very urgent time, and I thank you for the opportunity to ask the community worldwide to really really find sources of funding for pancreatic cancer, and it is really, really hard also because there aren't a lot of survivors. Okay. If you're lucky and it was caught early, then you are incentivized to give, we have family members from patients who passed away who are incentivized to give, but it's not enough, right? And so I think that this opportunity to really fund research like we're doing, the most innovative research, and also really focusing on funding the younger investigators is really important. Like I shared, the most innovative ideas come from the younger investigators, right?
20-year-olds.
And I will tell you, and I'll share the Cancer Letter article on our prize winner, Dr. Frank McCormick. He literally said, and I will quote, young investigators are bagging out. He said, right now, students and postdocs are just bagging out and not coming into academic science. It's bad enough before Trump, and I say that because funding hasn't kept up with inflation. Wages are low. It's tough. But now, for many young trainees, it's become too much. Okay. And I will, if you want, I can take this quote and I will share it with you because I thought that was
We'll be grateful. Of course, we'll be grateful.
put it right in the chat box. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And he knows because he's a senior investigator who's been in this field for over 40 years and he's seen the trends. Okay. And they're trying to get, I mean, look, how much more time do the senior investigators have? They need to give their experience and wisdom to the next generation of investigators to continue this momentum for breakthrough, right? And to be inspired by people like Dr. Frank McCormick, who was funded this prize for his breakthrough in KRAS. I tell you, we're at like a time that's unprecedented with clinical trials in this, like hope, like there's never been before, And so I am grateful to be part of this effort, right? And I am grateful to the Stephensons for this tremendous gift and opportunity. And we just had our symposium. And I will share this $150 million gift was given to City of Hope to help establish the Stephenson Global Pancreatic Cancer Research Institute, which is a separate LLC that was really set apart so that the funding can go out globally, right? And not just within the four walls of City of Hope. And so we had, in partnership with City of Hope, an incredible symposium. It was our first one highlighting the work of the $5.3 million that was funded for the Stephenson Scholar Grants. And at that symposium, there was tremendous optimism. There was tremendous energy. Everyone was saying, oh my gosh, we're so inspired. This is so encouraging. We're so grateful to the Stephensons for this tremendous opportunity and gift. Now, this Wednesday is the deadline for our Stephenson Global Scholar Grant applications again. We opened this up and now we're expecting double the amount of applications we'll see, and it's going to be a challenge because we can't fund them all. I know there's so many researchers out there, but we can't fund them all. But what we can do is continue to infuse inspiration, encouragement, and hope to this whole field and hopefully encourage young investigators to stay in the field.
Hopefully the number of application will be doubled. I'm sure about that you will have such a result. And all Like all the best. Good luck to you with that. If we stay on the current trajectory, like unstable grant cycles, as you said, or political volatility, shrinking pay lines and stuff, what does then oncology research look like 10 years from now?
I am very optimistic. I'm a very positive person. I've worked with a lot of people in the field that are burnt out, that have been through the real challenges that they face. So I will say that with everything that has happened this past year, in my experience working with the top researchers in this field, being inspired now and being encouraged, I do think that 10 years from now, there's going to be hope that the 5-year survival rate for pancreatic cancer will have doubled at least, to right now 13%, hopefully it's 26% or even higher. I really, really hope that there will be a change in this disease, okay? That pancreatic cancer will no longer be a death sentence, that more and more people will be inspired to give. This is a challenge for everybody out there, okay? Let's find the funding, let's find the funding and let's give to this research that is so critical and important to so many people out there and our communities and across the globe. So I'm very optimistic, and I hope that's the case, and we'll see. And this is what I always say, this nobody knows the future, only God does, right? And with faith and God's help, I know there is victory.
Oh my God, that was so well said. I completely agree with you. With faith and with God's help, there will be a victory. That is such a beautiful, that it can be a, a very beautiful headline, I would say, even.
And that I'm going to tell you, it's not just funding. It's like everybody needs to get out of the silos and come together. There's so many amazing, brilliant scientists, clinicians, researchers out there, and they just want to come together because the enemy is pancreatic cancer and the battle is real. And we have to come together as one army. There is power in number, there is power in diversity, and we have to come together and really tackle this together. So I'm excited for what the future holds.
Me too. Thank you so much. Like your optimism is like a ray. It's radiating across the screen, and I feel your optimism, and I'm completely sure that the future will be positive. Like it will be positive, and the rate of the mortality will decrease like several times. And with the help of your foundation and the researchers staying in the field of oncology and pancreatic cancer research, will definitely help to reach such results. Thank you so much, Jennifer Kim. Do you have anything to close up as a final like sentence or something to our audience who are not clinicians or who are not in the field of oncology? Anything you might want to share or add up as a closing note?
So, pancreatic cancer is one of the deadliest cancers, yet historically one of the least funded. And the imbalance has real consequences. In a system like the NIH that appropriately values preliminary data and feasibility, fields with less existing data, like pancreatic cancer, are at a disadvantage from the start. And that makes it harder for early career investigators to get funded, and many choose more established fields like breast cancer and other cancers or other disease groups where the path is more predictable. Over time, that creates a compounding effect. There are fewer scientists, fewer discoveries, and slower progress. If we're serious about changing outcomes for pancreatic cancer, we have to invest earlier, take more risks, and actively build a pipeline of talent. That is where philanthropy and targeted initiatives can truly be catalytic. That is where collaboration is key. And that is where there's urgency in this field to get this done as soon as possible. So that is my closing statement, and I hope that helps.
It helps, of course. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation and your optimism and the energy. this was one of the most enjoyable conversations that I've had, especially like recent times. So thank you so much for your time and for the work that you are doing and for all the encouragement words that you are saying and encouraging young investigators to keep working and keep like realizing their potential. Myself, I'm a young oncologist um, in a like in the field of solid tumors, and your words like were super empowering for me, even though there are some like limited resources for me as an individual and as a researcher. But I I got like empowered from your words and are motivated to keep fighting for such deadly cancers and keep believing in the work that we are doing.
Oh, thank you so much for the work you're doing and really stay in it. The challenge is there, but we can overcome that challenge, right?
Of
And
course.
I'm so excited to meet you, and I really thank you for helping us to be a voice. Not only as an oncologist are you helping patients out there,
Mhm.
but really the writing, all that you're doing here for is it OncoDaily, right?
Yes, OncoDaily.
OncoDaily really elevates and really helps to us to have a voice in the field. So I really want to thank you for that. You are being a light, you are being a light in this time of present darkness. So thank you.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to OncoDaily on YouTube. Hit the bell icon to stay updated.